It's time for a show. Alright, let's check out what we got going on here. Bam, bam. Got our questions. Okay, we got questions. I got coffee. I'm in a robe. And three, two, one. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this right here is my first cup of coffee. Wow. Well, I hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. Lots of time in the car, but the time not spent in the car was spent with great people. So Friday, dinner with a friend. We went to a place never been before. Really nice restaurant. Had some great food. And then Saturday, I drove to Maine, hung out with my karate teachers. We talked about some events that they want to host at their home in 2020. And then Sunday, a bunch of other people showed up and we trained for a few hours and had some food and I drove home. It was a nice drive. Oh, pretty much did an audiobook start to finish across the 6 hours I was in the car. And weather was good, traffic wasn't bad. It was a nice time, nice drive. Slept well last night. I am starting off Monday in like a great way. I'm super pumped. So I hope your weekend was somewhere close to that, and I hope you're feeling that good about Monday. And if not, well, hopefully it gets better. Now this is an absolutely chaotic week for me. There are a lot of balls juggling, a lot of irons in the fire, however you want to term it, and a lot of that stuff is either moving ahead or coming to fruition this week. If you look at my calendar, it's out of control. There are way too many things going on, way too many days, and I expect I'm going to have to work late probably every night because I don't have time to get the email and all the other jittery stuff done, but it'll all be worth it. No, that's Saturday. I'm not going to talk about next weekend. What else is going on? So today is Monday, so episode of Martial Arts Radio dropped, and today's episode is Grandmaster James Keenan, who, in some ways, we've heard this story before. This is a story of a man who's trained for a very long time and has achieved some success and skill and is well respected and, to a certain degree, is the type of person that many of us who have trained. Oh, excuse me. If I yawn, means I have to have more coffee, right? To a certain degree, it's the type of story that many of us hope can be told about us, that we continue to train and move forward. But in other ways, his personality, his attitude towards martial arts, and the people he's trained with is very, very different. I'd almost say unique. So I hope you check out that episode because it was really, really good. It's here on YouTube, of course, whistlekickmartialartsradio.com or in your podcast app. But check out that episode, and yeah, we got a ton more episodes coming. I think the new series on Thursday drops this coming Thursday. I did a 3-part series in video that you'll get to check out. Yeah. So, Zuza, enough. Cat's been very, very needy. All right, so we got some questions, and I'm going to answer them. All right. If you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. If you had to start another martial arts company, what would you do differently the second time? Yeah. The number one thing that I would do differently, and I was just talking about this with someone yesterday, the number one thing I would do differently is that I would have grown whistlekick while also doing something else that made money to pay me. One of the things that I feel I did wrong is trying to grow whistlekick while I didn't have another job. Zuza, what's the matter? Why are you being a pill? Come here. that there's a lot that I could say on that, and I'm not gonna dig into it because this isn't a business show and I don't want to bore people. But that's the number one thing. I would have stayed with, some consulting, like I'm going back into and have been in for a few months now, or found a solid 2 or 3 day a week part time job. I don't need a lot. I live pretty simply. But if I had done that, there are a lot of things wouldn't have happened. There are a lot of things I would have tried differently. The company would be different. Yeah, I recognize that. But I think that's the number one thing I would do differently. Next. Have you ever heard of coin throwing as a self defense tactic? I recently heard about this, about someone, a female Tai Chi master. Good morning, Jordan. Had a great weekend. I hope you did as well. I think it was a female martial artist. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a story about somebody. And she would put coins in her knuckles and throw them like throwing stars. Now, I've not heard of this as a self-defense technique. I don't know that in order to get enough range that you're gonna get some speed out of it, I think that person's too far away for you to have to worry about them. If somebody's 20 feet away, they're not an immediate threat. And if they're closing the gap on you very quickly, probably don't have time to put coins in your fingers. But I could be wrong. There could be ways to use that. If anybody knows about coin throwing, give me a link or something. I wanna follow up on that. I wanna read something about that. I mean, I wouldn't want to catch a quarter to the forehead, but I don't think it's going to put me down. Thanks, Jordan. Jordan says he's going to look into that. And finally, it has been said that, quote, what is evil but the self seeking to fulfill its own secret needs? Let me read that again. My enunciation, my cadence was off. What is evil but the self seeking to fulfill its own secret needs? Do you think this is true? So one of my fundamental beliefs is that everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. And there may be exceptions, but even when people do terrible things, the majority of the time, they have a reason. And they think what they're doing is right. When people take lives, they generally think they're doing the right thing. Maybe not for everyone, but for them, in that situation, at that moment, based on whatever's going on, they think they're doing the right thing. And it can be really hard for us to empathize with that if we're not them. But I think I would agree, if we think of the evil things that people do, it's to some personal benefit. And yeah, I think I can get behind that quote. Coffee's really good. This is Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee. I ran out of other coffee, and then this miraculously showed up from Amazon in my subscription box. I forgot that it was in there. I meant to take it out, but I have coffee. And had I not, I wouldn't have had coffee. And that would have been very sad. It's good coffee. It's got mushrooms in it too. Not like floating around, but worked in here. Was it chaga and lion's mane in this one, I think? Good stuff. The idea, I think one of the biggest problems we have right now in just the world is our inability to empathize. We instantly dismiss, if anyone's different, if anyone does something different, we instantly dismiss them. They're stupid, they're evil. That's not how the world works. That's not how people are. People aren't running around saying, I'm going to be stupid today. I'm going to be evil today. They're doing what they think is right. And they could just as easily look at you and think the same thing. Everyone's the hero of their own story. I keep finding myself saying that. It's one of my new lenses into the world, and it just seems to work. It seems to make so much sense. And if everyone's the hero, we're the supporting cast in their story. What we're doing really doesn't matter to them as much as what they're doing. You think about the people around you in your life, it's a very, very small cast that you interact with all the time and that really matter to you. None of the people in my life are as important in my life as I am in my life. Right? My life is a movie, 24 hours a day. I'm the cast member that's visible the entire time. And when you break out those hours, how often are other people around? If you live with someone, maybe you're married 8, 10, 12 hours, it's still not the entire time. Your kids, maybe 4 hours, 6. So I think quite often when we look at what other people are doing and we're calling them evil, it's because the story that they're involved in, the story they're telling, is very different from our story. That the direction they're headed isn't along the same path as ours. And one of the things we've talked about on Martial Arts Radio is people having a hard time looking at things as a process. One of the reasons people drop out after black belt or don't make it as lifetime martial artists is because there's no endpoint. And people like when things have an endpoint. Because if they're not focused on the endpoint, it means they have to focus on the process, and that can be tough. Further, one of the reasons people struggle with there being no right or wrong styles is that if there are multiple right ways to do something, they may not have the best one, and that can really hurt people's ego. So if there are multiple ways to live your life, if what you're doing now isn't the only way, then that means there might be a better way. And that means that you may have had the opportunity to do something more or different or better. And that messes with a lot of people's heads. I'm sure we can all look back on our lives, even yesterday. I can look at a couple things I did yesterday and say, I could have done that better. I'm not going to get mad about that. I'm going to use that information for the future. I'm going to try and iterate and become a little bit better in my martial arts, in my life in general. And I think that's probably the best thing to throw you for homework today. Just take a look at yesterday. Just make a quick run through. Celebrate a few victories. They don't have to be big things. They could be things that you look at and say, you know what? I'm proud of how I handled that situation. Maybe there was a difficult conversation. Or maybe there wasn't a difficult conversation. But you were present in the moment. Something that you enjoyed. Run through yesterday and look at some of the things that you did well, some of the things you didn't. And be honest with yourself about why. Why were you happy with this? Why were you unhappy with this? Don't judge yourself. There's no reason to get mad over it. You'll do better next time. On the good and the bad. You continue to get better, just like in your training. So go check out that episode with Grandmaster Keenan. Whoa. And I was just about to sign off. Leslie saying, Jeremy, how often do you revisit your products, i.e. First Cup, Martial Arts Radio? Go back. You too, Jordan. Have a good day. Leslie, because you're dropping that like right at the end as I was about to widen out, I'm going to ask that you drop that in the comments below, and we'll go over that one tomorrow. There's a lot there. There's a lot that could be there. No, don't apologize. No need to apologize. I appreciate you watching and asking questions. I tend to get a groove within the first few minutes, and I mean, I could keep talking, but I'll be honest. Some of these shows that have gone 25, 30 minutes kind of messes with my morning routine, and I try not to do that. So 15 minutes is right about where I try to cap it now. If you guys have a pile of good questions, I'll answer them. But let's see if we can start to wind down. So I gave you your homework, told you about the weekend, told you about my day, and now it's time for me to go. Go finish this, maybe have some more coffee, and get rolling. Don't forget, if you have a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. You can catch the show live here on YouTube, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, or you can get it at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast app, along with Martial Arts Radio. If you don't want to ask a question below, email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. And, yeah, just go sign up for the newsletter, all kinds of stuff. Just check out what we're doing. Try to show us some support, some love. We'll give it right back. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.